Hey everybody, welcome back to Startup Hack. With my 25 years of development experience, here at Startup Hack, we turn beginners into full-stack developers in as little as 3 months. Today, we're diving into a comparison between array lists and lists of T and C#. Let's break down their pros and cons so you can make the best choice for your next project. All right, so today we're diving into a comparison between ArrayList and list T in C#. And let's dive in and talk a little bit about these. So some of the pros of an array list is that an array list automatically adjusts its size when elements are added or removed, which makes it convenient for scenarios where the size of the collection is not known beforehand. Now there's also no type constraints. An array list can hold elements of any type since it stores objects, which can be advantageous when dealing with heterogeneous collections. Lastly, there's direct access by index. It provides a fast indexing access to elements, allowing for efficient random access retrieval. Now let's talk about some of the pros of a list. So a list is a strongly typed, providing compile time safety. This ensures that only elements of that specified type T can be added to the list, reducing the risk of runtime errors. Now, the performance of a list generally performs better than an array list for value types since it doesn't require boxing and unboxing. It also optimized for specific types of access like iterating through elements. Lastly, the generic support. A list of type T supports generics, allowing for cleaner code and an improved readability. It also enables better code maintenance and easier debugging. All right, so those are the pros. Let's go back to some of the cons here. So the cons on an array list is boxing and unboxing, the overhead there. So since ArrayList stores object value types, they need to be boxed and unboxed when adding to the collection and unboxed when retrieved, which can lead to performance overhead, especially in large collections. Now, on modern architectures, we don't really see a lot of this, and so I don't know that I've ever really looked at an application and been like, oh man, that boxing overhead. But if you get into really large collections, this would probably make a big difference. Also, there's a lack of type safety. The absence of a generic type T means that there's no compile time safety. This can result in runtime errors if elements of incorrect types are added and not caught during compilation. Now, I've definitely seen this happen. So also type recasting required. Retrieving elements from an array list requires explicit casting, which can lead to runtime errors if the wrong type is cast. I've also seen those errors in real as well. Now let's talk about some of the cons of a list. So unlike an array list, a type T is limited to storing elements of a single type specified by its generic type parameter T, which can be restrictive in scenarios where you want to do different types of collections. Now, there's also no automatic upcasting. Since the list of type T is strongly typed, you can't implicitly upcast between different types of the list. This might lead to extra code when dealing with polymorphic behavior. And lastly, your resizing overhead. While list T automatically resizes internally, resizing can still incur performance overhead, especially when dealing with large collections or frequent resizing operations. Now, as always, we try to provide good code samples here, so let's dive into some code samples and see what we've got here for our code samples today. So let's work first on our array list versus element on indexes. All right, let's get our code up here and going. All right, sorry, I guess my machine had just updated, so it's taking a minute. So let's run this code here and kind of step through and look at these differences of an array list versus an array list versus the list of type T. All right, so let's go ahead and get this fired up here and we can walk through this code here. Okay, so we're starting off with a constant of iterations of a very large number, about 1 million it looks like. We have an array list and a regular list. Now we're going to fill a collection with elements, and we're going to run our stopwatch to see which one performs better. And in this case, it's testing with an index. So let's try indexing specifically this and see which one performs better. So we'll run down here to this first one. We'll step through this. So this is going to take a second because it's building up a big list here and then trying to do some tests on it, running the stopwatch against it. So I'll go ahead and speed up the video. Okay, so we can see that the array list was able to index in 8 milliseconds on average, whereas the list was indexing in 3 milliseconds. So you can see when it comes to indexing that the list is much faster than an array list. And this would make sense because as it's trying to do that, it's having to box and unbox underneath the covers. And so you can see it's doing this every single time, whereas this is able to just index directly. So 8 milliseconds versus 3 milliseconds is a pretty sizable gap. So let's flip over to our other code sample here now. So in this code sample, what we're going to check is for testing of adding of an element. So similar type of a thing, but now instead it's just going to add an element to an array list versus a standard list, a generic list, and let's see how they perform. I'll speed this one up a little bit too. All right, now we can see this is even a more dramatic comparison. The array list took 200 milliseconds to add an element, whereas the list took 8 milliseconds. That's a pretty sizable difference. So we can definitely see that where there's convenience for programming using the array list, the performance of a generic list is going to beat it every single time. So very, very instructive and very helpful. So let's go into our summary here. So in summary, the array list offers flexibility with its ability to hold elements of any type but lacks type safety and can incur performance overhead due to boxing and unboxing. On the other hand, list of type T provides a type safe, better performance for value types, and cleaner code with generics, but it restricts to using storing elements of a single type specified by its generic parameters. Now, make sure you download our sample code here because we always provide sample code because we're real developers and we love teaching software developers. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and share it with other people. That's the most compliment we can get is when you comment or when you share it with others. So we'll catch you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because we bring you lots of great tutorials and tips that every developer should know. See you next time.